Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
Stephen Cuoco. At what point did you realize when you started looking into public relations, started looking into casting, you know what, Stephen, I'm pretty damn good at this. I think we should keep following this path.
It really is effortless, Donovan. I mean, it would be the same of how you do your show. When you bring your all to the table with great intentions and no expectations, it just makes life fun and it makes the career of choice fun.
Oh, yeah. I still love that intro. It's still my favorite. That is from one of my interviews on the How Did show. I got to get back on that show again. I love Donovan. He's an actor. He's in voiceover. Brilliant guy. Great man. Great family man. And you just can't get enough. He's an all-around good, spirit and soul, and he doesn't expect anything from anyone. That's what I appreciate most. He doesn't expect anything. He knows his lane. He stays in his lane, and he does what he does great. Exceptional. There are many words that can go with it. We've got back again my good friend Josh Murray, actor Josh Murray. You may have known that he debuted nationally in the TV movie Killing Lincoln as assassin Lewis Powell. We're going to talk about his new film Protocol 7. It's already garnering accolades. I don't often wish I was in LA. It's not my city of choice, with all due respect. But this is a time when I saw his one post. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. And he showed us the theater. And I'm like, I want to sit there. I want to be there. I want to take a photo with Josh. I want to watch the film, there with everyone else and have that full-on experience. And we were hoping that actor and producer Jake Jensen would be able to make it out because he also is, lives in LA. However, he's in Florida right now with his family visiting. We will be having an upcoming episode of In the Actors and Athletes Studio with Stephen Cuoco and Jake Jensen coming up very, very soon. He's long overdue for a vacation, and that's why we haven't done a recent episode, I would say. Plus, I've been enjoying the weather and kind of been a little bit on a hiatus, as well as my team has been helping me out with certain things. Otherwise, we're now getting back into the swing of things. Whether you're listening to this on Power 98.5 satellite radio, power985.com, Amazon, Apple Music, Power 98.5 is available on Apple Music. It streams 24/7. You can listen to it. Biz Talk Radio, Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco, airs weekdays, just to bring you up to speed because some of you don't know, 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. It will be available and is also available on iHeartRadio. And then we will have it available for you on your favorite podcast platforms, such as Amazon Music and Spotify. I am not going to wait any longer. I can go on and on and on about Josh's, accolades and what he's accomplished. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to need probably about another 20 minutes because it's a long list of what he's accomplishing in the industry. Josh, welcome back for the second time on Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco?
Yeah, the second time. Thank you so much, Stephen. I know you're very busy with your own performance stuff these days, and I'm honored you took the time to fit me in, man.
You deserve it. Like I said, I saw your post on Instagram, and it was in the theater, and I'm like, I'm going to. When I have, give me heads up, and if you happen to be to where it's in LA, you're going to be there. It's not going to be here on the West Coast, or if you guys aren't going to be doing something in the New York area, I'll come out. I mean, I've got so many things I can do while I'm out there anyway.
Yeah, well, man, anytime. You're always welcome. You're always welcome. Yeah. I'm sorry we couldn't get Jake in there. I know he was traveling.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was on holiday with the family, but he wants to meet you. And when he gets back to LA, I think it'd be great for you guys to connect. And you never know, maybe you guys can have some insight on some projects or something for each other. And you guys will do well. You're good people, and you've got great intentions of what you want to do in the industry. And I like the fact to where you think of others.
Absolutely, man. Well, I look forward to connecting with him after the show and in person when he's back.
We've got to talk about Protocol 7, hottest new film movie. What do you want to go into? Where can we start first with this?
Yeah, well, there's so many things. Like you said, we just had an event in Austin where we filmed the movie, and we had the cast and crew and some of the investors and whatnot. Just always so fun it's always fun to see a film in a theater with an audience that you worked on, and just to hear the audience's reactions. But it's especially cool when you have kind of get the whole gang back together that made it back in 2022. We shot it, and it was fun just seeing the familiar faces and getting to see all the hard work, up there on the screen. But yeah, looking forward to the premiere in LA, coming on the West Coast premiere in LA this weekend.
Are you guys going to ever bring, whether it's this project or your future projects, are you guys ever in New York?
Yeah, they were just in New York, and I believe I have to double check. It was just playing at a theater in New York, the Go Live Theater on the Upper West Side. So I'll have to double check, but I think it's actually still in theaters there.
All right, so this is based on a true story of corporate corruption in which you play the whistleblower alongside Matthew Martson, Rachel Whittle, and Eric Roberts.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You got to work with him, Eric?
So actually the second movie we've done together.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Eric is a workhorse, man. He gets around. He's supposed to be at the event on this weekend in LA, so I'm hopefully going to see him on Friday.
Did you guys enhance each other's performances? What did you bring out in each other, or what did he bring out in you?
So it's funny, the scenes, the interactions with my character and Eric's are not in the final cut of the film. Because those elements of the story are told through story and rather than flashback. But the previous film I did, we had scenes together. Yeah, he plays my boss in the movie, but I mostly, in terms of what shows up on film, I'm just discussing, our interactions rather than you actually seeing them play out live. But Eric's great in this role. Like, he's very believable as kind of the villain in the film, but very much human. There's no element of knowing that he's a villain. It's completely business. It's all business for him. And I think that's very true to life. Like, he doesn't see himself as, getting away with something or trying to, pull one over on people. It's just like, this is how I do business, and I'm just doing business. And I think he really captured that very well.
Memory serves me correctly, and as I'm looking here at some of the updated information, you and I last chatted about Gym Rat. That's where we were going into health and wellness, and now I clearly remember what our topic points were about that film and where your life was at that time. Where are you at now? What's going on with you? Because what was that, 2 years ago or a year ago, was it?
Yeah, it's probably closer to 2. Yeah, because I shot this a year and a half ago, Protocol 7. So I would say the biggest thing that's happened in my life, besides doing some movies, is being a father. Man, I have a 3-month-old now named Ethan James Murray.
I like that. That's a good name.
Yeah, Ethan means is a strong name. It actually means strong, firm, enduring, and it's representative of our process that we had bringing him into the world. My wife had quite a ordeal in the hospital, It was a tricky birth, and we had to really persevere, and he had to persevere because he was inactive. She was in active labor for like 40 hours. So he came out strong and 10 pounds 9 ounces.
Wow, he's a solid boy.
He is, and he's almost twice that size now. So he's growing fast, and yeah, he's probably gonna be bigger than me when he grows up.
Wow. Oh my! But how tall do you think he's going to be? Because what are you, 6'1"?
I'm 6'5".
6'5". Holy
Yeah.
crow!
Yeah. Yep. So he's gonna be massive. But man, he's right now. It's so precious. He's absolutely adorable. So sweet, happy baby. I love his laugh. When I come home at the end of the day, he's just lights up when he sees me. It's really beautiful.
I wouldn't doubt he grows up. They're going to, like, say if they do a remake of 300, you know how they love to remake everything. 300
Right.
or some sort of gladiator film or alien film, he'll be perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do, but if he ends up being an actor as well, I'm sure he'll be quite a bruiser.
I got to ask, would you want him to be involved in this industry, or would you want him to go to university for medicine, doctor, or some other sort of work?
Man, I think that each of us have, a unique set of gifts and talents and purposes. And, I want to help foster and encourage him in the areas that he has giftings and passions for. But I want to be very careful of not trying to influence or dictate him to do or not do a certain line of work. But I wouldn't get him too involved in the entertainment industry as a child, because I think it's important to have a good, healthy childhood and decide if he wants to pursue that line of work later in life.
You have no regrets, though. Honestly, you're in a great place emotionally and mentally, even from when we last chatted 2 years ago, because you're still here, you're still in it, you're still doing it.
Yeah. Well, my lifestyle is constantly developing and learning and growing and healing, and I'm grateful that every year, like, there's new levels of breakthrough, and even though I haven't had to deal with it's been quite a few years since I've had to deal with like really heavy stuff, like battles in my own life, but there's always more. There's always areas that we can grow and improve and be able to have more capacity to give and to influence. And so I'm very blessed that I can honestly say, for quite a while now, it's every year it's a new level of growth for me, and there's blessings that come from that, living life more abundantly.
Something that most people, I believe, are being reminded of every day, that you can't be a machine 24/7, that one way or another, it is imperative to understand and to live and encapsulate human experiences and what they mean, not only for yourself, but how you're sharing those human experiences for others. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, man. I definitely kind of push the envelope a lot in terms of being productive. Like, I have a strong drive to get as much done and to be, redeeming the time and purposeful and productive. But even in the busy seasons, like, I still got to take that day out to just reset and rejuvenate and spend time, on relationships and family and spiritual things. Because, if we don't restore, if we don't refresh, renew, then we don't have anything to give. And you're going to trade long-term success and stability for short-term, opportunism. But this year has definitely been one of those like redlining times where I was, working on post-production on Jim Rad and promoting this film, and I was involved in an incubator program and becoming a first-time dad. And it's been a lot, but I'm always like, hey, if I do have to push for a season where I'm really like kind of going to the limit, like, I have got to look intentionally for like, okay, where's that season where I'm going to take more time to reset and spend time with people and relationships. It's having seasons is okay, but when it becomes an unending, like, I'm crazy busy. If you're crazy busy all the time, like, it's a choice, and you've got to choose to make time for balance also.
Have you reached I don't know if we talked about this before. We might have the last time, whether privately or when we did the interview about Gym Rat. Are you designating now, or have you ever, to where you're putting in 5 days a week into acting, reading scripts, whatever it is that you're doing with your team, and you're designating either Saturday and Sunday just a family, or just Sunday, or certain times of the day for yourself? Like Mark Wahlberg is extremely regimented on the exact hour of what he's doing. Have you gotten to that point in your life? Have you always been there? Where are you at now with that to keep yourself balanced so that you're enriching yourself as a man, as a husband, as now a father?
Yeah, so Sunday is my default rest day, and like you had offered to do the interview schedule on Sunday, and I was like, that's the one day I choose not to work, and appreciate you being flexible and making it happen today. But it's generally my rhythm is like 6 days I'm working, and Sundays I take off. Every once in a rare occasion, like I'm having to travel for something and I'm out of town, and maybe I do have to make an exception on a rare occasion, and then I look for another day to kind of catch up and substitute for that. But yeah, my typical routine is, I work 6 days a week, and Saturdays usually is like a unique type of work that I do to kind of catch up and fill in different areas. In terms of scheduling, like, this industry it's so fluid, and sometimes it's so last minute. I do have a lot of flexibility in my schedule, but I have for the last, like, I would say 4 years now. I've been really disciplined about tracking things and planning things on my calendar. So I used to more take it as it comes, and now I really time block stuff. So I'm time blocking, when I'm working, I'm time blocking when I'm, having date night with my wife, or, scheduling a time to go to the beach and get some fresh air and, exercise. And that is really helpful, because if there's something important in my life, I want to reserve time for it. And I want to be strategic about making sure everything gets done. And when you lay it out, on a calendar, it's really easy to see, like, hey, is this realistic? And am I getting everything done I want? And if not, like, how do I reprioritize so that I get what's important done?
You've always been absolutely intelligent about what you do. You never disappoint me, even in our conversations, and how supportive you've been about some of the private conversations we've had through the years. You just really give respect to what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're processing. I don't think I've ever experienced you having, let's say, an East Coast moment where you just take something and you just go with it at 5 million miles an hour. Have you always been just so grounded and centered in a way of how you do things? Because your son is going to grow up with such an enriching life with you of how you just are as a man and as a person. It's incredible.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement, man. When I was in my 20s, I think I shared on the last time we were on here that I had this period of many years where I had a lot of physical and emotional pain and dysfunction. I was always driven. I was always someone who worked hard, but there was a big deficit in my 20s of just strategy and tools on how to deal with life. And I dealt with a lot of panic attacks and anxiety and stuff at a time. And out of necessity, I was really driven to go, hey, I can't live like this. When you have these symptoms that are screaming at you, it's a sign that like whatever's going on, there's something wrong, and they're doing something wrong, and there's got to be a better way. And that was a strong impetus for me to pursue like growth and learning as a way of life. And like, I need to seek out and eradicate these problems, and there's got to be a solution. And I've been very, very blessed to get to know and to be, you know, poured into by a lot of people who I really respect, who have a lot to offer. And I've learned from many different people, different skills, different practices to integrate into my life. And it's not easy. Like, you can learn something's great, you can hear a great idea, but like if you don't practice it every day, it has no effect. And so it's been about surrounding myself with the right kinds of people, learning from people who figure this stuff out before me, and then just being really diligent to just put it into practice every day. And that's one of the things, I guess, that has been a strength of mine, is that like when I recognize, okay, I need to do something, I need to learn something, I just relentlessly train myself to do it until it becomes part of who I am.
I believe, from what I'm hearing, is it doesn't sound as though, and compared to 2 years ago to now, it doesn't sound like you're worried about being a dad and what you're going to be teaching Ethan, right?
You know, I just did a post the other day, I don't know if you saw, about being a father. And I just wrote a short little essay about my recent reflections on how my dad was and how growing up was for me, and the ways that, you know, his childhood growing up was much tougher than mine. And, you know, his dad before him had a worse situation than he did. And, you know, conversely, I've learned certain stuff because I, you know, got a better start than my dad did. And I've learned so much stuff that my dad didn't know as an adult that I get to pass on to Ethan as a kid. And I'm just really excited to see how much farther he goes than me, because I'm going to be able to start enriching him and blessing him with the lessons I didn't even start to hear about until I was an adult while he's still a kid. And so by the time he's an adult, he's going to be so much farther ahead than me. It's going to be really amazing and beautiful to see how much farther he goes than I did.
I gotta say, it's gotta bring you peace. I would think if I was in your position, it would give me a peace of mind knowing that you have every bit of knowledge from your own experience to know what you believe it's going to take to be a great role model for your son, for Ethan, and then also to know the balance of what he's going to need to learn in life to strengthen him as, you know, a young person into adulthood. You've got to feel empowered, I would think so, with all of the knowledge you have now, ready and able to take care of your son.
You're right, Stephen. Absolutely, man. That is how I feel. And you know, there's a verse that really I really hold on to, which is that God supplies all my needs. And as long as I don't ever get to the place where I think I'm all that and I've got it all figured out, but I know that He's my source, like I've got nothing to worry about, because everything that I need to be able to give Ethan, like he's gonna make sure that it lines up and that it's there for me. So that's how I live.
Where are you at now when we think about Gym Rat and the conversations we had before? What can you expand on, knowing how much so many things have changed in the physical fitness arena, within the world of health and what people consider to be health? What do you believe it means to be healthy, not only working out, but eating, self-reflection? What do you do to keep that homeostasis now after everything I've learned?
Man, that's a big question. Well, I think that it's important for things to be holistic. You know, when you hyper focus on one thing to the exclusion of others, like it always leads to imbalance. And you know, one of the themes in Gym Rat is is exactly that, where the character of Lonnie is obsessed with fitness, physical fitness, to the exclusion of all else, because coming out of a mental health deficit, and so because he's becoming really, really good at physical fitness, it's becoming to the exclusion of giving attention to anything else. It becomes extreme. It becomes destructive, because it's all out of whack. So, as simple or cliche as it may seem, that balance is key, balancing your time, your effort, your energy, your focus, your prioritization on, your physical health, as well as emotional, spiritual health, on relational health, all those things work together. And when you have some of those other things, like, let's say your nutrition is out of whack, but your physical, strength training is great. You're going to still be fat. You know what I mean? You can lift weights all day long. And if you don't have your diet in order, like, you're still going to be fat. Conversely, if you're hyper focused on, pursuing your overall physical wellness to the exclusion of all else, if your emotional and mental health is out of whack, it's going to start to cause you to do destructive things, right? That are going to make you take shortcuts, like Lonnie does in the film, that are ultimately damaging his body, because he's out of whack, right? So I think that it always comes down to harmonizing and prioritizing all of the different aspects of life, and not becoming extreme in your hyper focus on just one.
If you can also expand on this, do you believe that most people should more often talk to their professional, talk to a dietitian, talk to their general practitioner, a nutritionist, whoever, and to potentially stay away from the over embellishment of the physical, personal trainers that are online, because everyone's popping up with their $5 certificate of calling themselves a fitness trainer? Do you believe that it's so I think it's oversaturated, but do you feel that it's better that people, instead of going right to social media to try to find out quick tips and tricks to better their health and their body and their image, to just go seek someone who really is licensed to do this?
I wouldn't disagree with that, Stephen. I think you have to be very careful and thoughtful about what sources that you rely on. Certainly, there's a lot of conflicting information on social media, no doubt. But I think that you have to be careful. What I would add is that you have to be careful about looking to systems, looking to certain, standards or organizations as though they are this, like, sort of infallible gold standard. And that really ties in directly to this Protocol 7 film, because the heart of the story, which is based on a real life case, which we can talk more about in a minute, but the essence of the story is that the authority figures, the experts, right, the federal organizations, the oversight committees that define the rules and lay down, like, what is copacetic, what is reliable, are fallible. And so I think anytime you look, whether it's social media or a registered dietitian or the FDA, you cannot look to any standard or certificate or organization as this infallible bastion of truth. And you have to take responsibility for your actions and your choices, and be as educated, and to listen to all sides of an issue and make an informed decision, and not outsource your responsibility for your life and your health to any single entity. Does that make sense?
It does. And I like that. You worded that and expressed that perfectly.
Good. Because I think in recent years, with ever since 2020, like the issue of healthcare, like medical freedom, national policy on health and medicine has been hugely controversial, right? There's been so much furor over the topic. A lot of people have wanted to say, like, we know who to trust. We know who the experts are. Like, there is a defined structure, and like, you shouldn't question it. And it's led to a lot of problems, and it's been disproven in many ways. And this film, again, is another story which predates 2020, of a case of fraud and deception existing at some of the highest levels in our country. And like, from the president on down, like, throughout history, there have been cases where men don't behave truthfully, they don't behave honestly, they don't behave in the interest of other people. And so when we let a position or an office or a title take the place of our intuition, take the place of our own eyes and ears, then we're going to be in trouble, right? Because we all have, and we all are part of, like, this system of checks and balances. And if there aren't checks and balances, then there's going to be corruption.
I'm glad you expressed that and said that. That's why I respect you so very much, is because you objectively look at the facts, not only from your own experience, but from what is there, what is apparent, and or a constant topic point where it goes back to what I expressed most recently. If you're going to get it done right, and get it done right the first time.
Yeah. And in education, research, informing yourself, again, in as many different ways and as many different sources as possible, is just going to make you more empowered to come to a better decision. Right. And so, again, having the time and having the discipline of looking into stuff from different views and different angles and different sources, and really getting all the facts, or getting all the narratives, and navigating that yourself, is the best way that you can make the most informed decision possible. And that's another thing that I think is really important, specifically in the medical world, is that we are all championing and all fighting for all the information to be made available to people, so that you can have informed consent. Because if you have information from one source that doesn't have all the information, or doesn't have your best interests at heart, then you're not going to be capable of making a good decision or informed decision, because you're not making a decision on all the facts.
You had, in a most recent interview with Marcos on Digital Journal, this is what you wrote: "Professionalism and camaraderie really defined my experience on Protocol 7. There were quite a few people above and below the line who have worked on some of the biggest movies around. So while it was totally independent project, there was a high degree of excellence I experienced from day one." Are independent projects such like Protocol 7, are you finding that the quality and the integrity that goes into the development, the post-production, everything in the middle and thereafter, have you found that it's gotten better through the years and post-strike? Where are you at with this? Where are you at in your own career and experience that you can speak on?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly my personal experience has been working on better and better independent films. Of course, there are still independent films that are made very amateurishly right now. But there have been recently, in the last couple of years, certainly the last few years, there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of rough patches in Hollywood. And, there are such tremendously talented people, from grips and gaffers to writers and actors, who have been without work. There have been people, whether through, union conflicts or economic downturns, right? There have been a lot of people who are amazing at what they do, and they don't have any work, and so it's been cool to see some of these smaller, lean, mean machine independent projects coming together, that have a purpose, have an eye for quality, and are going to treat people right and treat people fairly, that are creating opportunities for these people to work. And again, people who've worked on the biggest blockbusters, that have tremendous talent and skill, can come along and find work and find ways to do stuff, even when, the studios and the networks are shut down or they're canceling projects. So I think that democratization of production and that opening of the door that has happened in recent years with certain advancements and certain shifts in the industry is a good thing, and it creates opportunities for more voices and more diversity of stories because of that.
The level of excellence you bring, and many people that are experienced, challenged, educated, refined, you help make the industry what it is. And even though there's this general census that anyone can be replaced, that's not necessarily true. And even when we look at the regurgitation of movies that are being, movies or films that are being remade, is because it's all about quick cash. And I sit back and I think to myself, if the networks, the companies, the production companies, like all of them, if they really understood the younger generation, when we think about Annie, Footloose, Roadhouse, a lot of them have no idea who a lot of these actors from the 70s and 80s and early 90s are, or even mainly the films. I have spoken to a lot. I don't mean 1, 2, 3, 4, or 10. I mean a lot of people. I work very closely with younger generations, and I get hired and consult on a lot of what they are doing. And it's when we think about Protocol 7 and films like this is where it speaks volumes, because there are thousands, maybe even tens of thousands, if not more, if I'm lowballing that number, of projects and opportunities out there for work. And the idea of, let's remake an old 1970s, 80s film, and let's bring in the older generation that remembers these films, which anybody that's Gen X, my generation, we don't give two flying toots about the remakes. You don't disgrace Patrick Swayze's legacy by doing a remake. We all know the fact of the politics. I'm going to call it out. We all know the game that these agencies are playing by taking a Caucasian Annie and putting her to a black Annie. Don't use the black community as a way of thinking, oh, well, because Annie was white, if we make her black, we're going to be able to hemorrhage a shitload of money out of the black community because we turned her into this color. We understand the politics and the methodicalness of what is happening here. And it's deplorable, not only to the legacies of the actors that have passed, but also to the quality and integrity of the film. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to remake Porky's, Beverly Hills Cop? What are they going to do? And I'm sure if they could, and they better not touch Goonies. Don't F up that classic. I mean, that, or even A Christmas Story. I mean, please. So with that, I appreciate you. I appreciate your team and the people of Protocol 7 that are out there determined to get high quality content out there, high quality movies and films for the public to experience. Because once again, as someone who's 50 years old, I don't want to see a remake. None of us do. Unless they paid someone from my generation. There is nobody of my generation that wants to see a remake of a 70s or 80s film. And then the younger generation don't know who the heck these people or these films are. They're playing video games. They're playing PlayStation. What do they know about Patrick Swayze or Annie or Kevin Bacon from Footloose?
Right. Yeah. Well, I would hate to try to replace Patrick Swayze. As an actor, give me something new. And I read your article, Stephen, and I agree, man. It's all about risk aversion and trying to capitalize on a quick buck, and I think it misses the deeper value and the deeper stories that, and the news stories that you look at Protocol 7, Terry Rossio, look, Oscar nominated writer, did Aladdin and Shrek, Pirates of the Caribbean. He approached Andy and said, this is a story that really needs to be told. And he approached him about writing the script, and it was 10 years. Again, a fantastic writer, a really important story that he was passionate about, that has tremendous skill, crafted the script, and 10 years, a decade went by before they were able to actually bring it to light and, make a movie out of it, because it didn't get attention. It didn't get an opportunity. And who knows how many other stories, right, have been sitting there for 10 years as well right now, that are getting sidelined or backburner, that really are for our time and are important and are quality, that are getting passed over for a sort of sub-rate, remake of a movie for the second or third time.
To expand more also about Protocol 7, you wrote, the team really went out of their way to make sure I was well taken care of during my time in Texas. That isn't always the case, even on bigger budget projects. I read that 3 times. This would be the 4th time, because I wanted to feel what you wrote. And I'm extremely proud of you in every way possible, with the respect that I have for you. You know how much I respect you, that you were willing to put that on record.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, I'm not here to name call and make accusations, but look, anyone who's worked in the industry knows that you can be working with some of the biggest companies on some of the, highest profile, whatever. And, not just me, but friends that I have in the industry, who tell me the stories of what they're going through. And, some of the in the hottest, programs of the year, on set are treating their people like crap, and they have all this money, right? But they don't care about the people. And so it was, not that this is the only time I've had a great experience by far, but it's really nice when you go to production that they don't have oodles of money, but they go out of their way to say, hey, do you have everything you need? Are you comfortable? Are you being taken care of? Is there anything we can get you, to make your stay, more enjoyable? Do you need anything to help, make sure that your performance is what it needs to be? And that's, that is the right thing to do, as a human being. Like, that is the caring thing to do, but it's also the smart thing to do, because if you are taking care of your people, they're going to be able to do a better job at their job, so it's also the smart thing as a business decision too.
That's the perfect closing to this second episode with you. And we're going to have you on more. And don't wait for a project. You know that. You can reach out to me anytime. But if it is for a project, you can still reach out to me anytime.
Thank you, Stephen. Well, always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. It's not an interview. It's always a conversation with you.
It is. I like that. It's always that's a great, you know what? Hold on. We got to write down. I'm going to write that down and I'll put you on it. It's always a conversation. That is an exceptional tagline. It's always a conversation. Thank you for that. That inspired me so much. I'm putting it in my notes, and that's by Mr. Josh Murray. Thank you for that, Josh. Any closing thoughts on Protocol 7? About whether the premiere or tickets.
Yeah. So people can go to protocol7.movie. That's protocol, the number 7.movie is the website, and they can watch the trailer there. They can find out all the show times. It's going to be playing in LA theaters starting next week, and it's going to be releasing nationwide next month in Regal and some other chains as well in early July. So check out the trailer and look for the show times coming soon.
Distribution, is this Hulu, Amazon, Netflix? Where's it going?
They haven't announced the streaming distribution yet, but right now they are releasing in U.S. and Canada in theaters over the next month. Nationwide in U.S. and Canada in theaters, and then probably by the end of the summer they'll have an announcement about where you can find it on streaming.
You know what I'm impressed by? Hulu. Their programs and their films are really thoughtful. They really know what they're doing. This would be excellent for Hulu. I would prefer this on Hulu than Netflix because I don't know what's going on with Netflix as much as I appreciate some of their programmings, but it seems as though they're just pushing, like they're focused more on quantity than quality. But Hulu, man, they're doing a great job.
Have you seen Dope Sick?
No.
Oh man, I got to give a shout out to Dope Sick. I had no involvement in it, but that is a fantastic television series, and it deals with the exact same subject matter that Protocol 7 does. I mean, you can almost look at Protocol 7 as kind of like a sequel to Dope Sick because it's the exact same subject matter. But Dope Sick, man, phenomenal, top-notch performance, story, filmmaking on that. I highly recommend checking that out on Hulu as well.
Oh, I am. I've got it up right here. I'm going to look. And is it still airing or are they done with their seasons? Because it looks like, was it 6 seasons or how many?
It was a limited series. It was a 1-season limited series. Yeah, but quality all the way through.
Yeah, so anyone that's part of Protocol 7 and their team, I really hope that this ends up on Hulu. It's even the trailer did very well on the trailer. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, someone said at the Austin event that the movie was much better than the trailer. So I'm hoping that more and more people say that.
Hey, those are great topic points, especially for media.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Anytime. Mr. Josh Murray, thank you to everyone who's tuned in to Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio, Biz Talk Radio, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and more. Remember, you can listen to this interview on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, Amazon Music and Spotify. Just make sure you're following me, doing, all the great things to stay up to date so you can get that notification of when the latest show is going to be out. If you're looking to listen to this again on Power 98.5, just download the app. Both the iOS and Android app look incredibly amazing. You're going to love it. New features, new style. I also have a fresh new logo. I'm still utilizing the original logo for Power 98.5. However, the new logo I'm proud of it. I'm extremely proud of it. Also, if you are watching Biz Talk TV, listening to Biz Talk Radio, my show on there airs weekdays, 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Their potential reach, I am proud to say, is 20 million. I'm absolutely grateful that Biz Talk Radio has picked up my radio show on there. Also, iHeartRadio Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco is available. And Protocol 7, you can't beat it. And I'm going to close by this, and I'm glad I have it available. Josh has also worked as an actor for and with multiple branches of the military and various law enforcement agencies, including undergoing boot camps for training in weapons and tactics. He has a passion for mental health and physical wellness, which he often speaks about on various platforms. As you heard it, whether you remember the original interview, the first interview with Josh, this interview, this is what it's all about. And I'm going to close by referencing one of the best closeouts. And Josh, you can probably have your own radio show one day. It's always a conversation with you, Stephen. That is one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard a guest say, and it doesn't surprise me. It came from actor Mr. Josh Murray. Have a great day, everyone. Treat yourself well, love yourself more, and be proud of the legacy you are leaving for yourself and for those to remember of how you've enriched our world. Take care, everyone.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.